It's another episode of This Week in Google Glass. And today we're going to talk about caching and cache registers and what you need to do for that. Now, let's check it out in This Week in Google Glass. Hey everybody, Jeffrey Powers here. I was doing my best overdubbed voice. How you doing? I am Jeffrey Powers. Over at Geekazine.com, Think Magazine, put in a geek. That's a Geekazine, my Twitter handle, Geekazine. And of course, my Google Plus profile is also Geekazine or Jeffrey Powers. You can find me there. Jeff at twig.tv, TWIGG, this week in Google Glass.tv, twig.tv. You can get there. My co-host, as always, Mr. Luke Wallace, straight from Dallas, Texas. How you doing, Luke?
Doing good tonight, Jeff. How are you doing?
I am doing well. You look good tonight.
Thanks, Jeff. So yeah, we were joking before the show how I'm always on this weird delay because I guess of all the different software processing we're doing.
And
So
and I'm
we're talking
hoping
about how
and
it
I'm
looks kind of funny.
yeah, and I'm hoping that there's a new version of Wirecast coming out, and I'm hoping that's going to fix that. So let's
Yeah.
cross our fingers on that. But anyway, tell us who you are and where you're from.
So yeah, Luke Wallace. I'm down in Dallas. You can reach me at luke@twig.tv or just go visit thisweekingoogleglass.com and my profile information's there. And I'm also Luke Luca on Twitter. So.
All right, and you spoke. Was it you spoke last week at the barbecue? But you also went to the Texas State Fair, right?
Yeah, yeah. So uh, I have been speaking a little bit recently on Google Glass, and that's been a lot of fun. And then I got to use Google Glass a whole lot last weekend or late last week, going out to the Texas State Fair. I really put Glass through a stress test, I feel like, because I took so many pictures and quite a bit of video. Um, I, by my rough count, it was about 100 pictures and about 50 videos, and I actually counted every time somebody would ask me about glass and we would talk for a minute. I counted 18 people that basically said something to me about glass, and my wife was having a good time pointing out people to me. She's like, she would tell me about some guy who gave me this funny look, or kind of like did a double take when he saw me walk by, and so there were a lot more people that noticed that I was wearing glass, but yeah, I think I counted 18 people that actually stopped me and said, "Hey, is that Google Glass?" And so it was pretty fun.
Oh yeah, and what's really surprising, and you're not seeing this, but I'm showing some of the pictures at the state fair that you took through
Hmm.
glass. Um, but I find it funny how many people know that it's Google Glass. I mean, when I first got
Hmm.
my pair of Google Glass, at first it was like, what is that thing on your head? And now it's like, hey, that's Google Glass, isn't it? And I go, yeah, that
Yeah.
it is. But they don't do, even people that you don't expect to know what the technologies are, they'll point out that's Google Glass, isn't it? And that's
Yeah.
pretty interesting and on the whole, because most, like I said, if there'd be one or two people that say, what is that thing? That's kind of weird.
Yeah. There were maybe three or four of those people that ended up talking to me about it didn't know what it was, but most people knew it by name and they knew, how it worked basically. It was very, very interesting. People were very excited to see it, and I just thought it was really neat to see. I think everybody I talked to said it was the first time they'd seen anybody wearing it, so um, that's always kind of fun to be that
Oh
that
yeah.
first person who has the thing, that someone's only seen on the internet.
Yeah, I'm one of only there's I think there's 5 pairs of glass in Madison, Wisconsin, and
Yeah.
I think I'm the only one that wears it out publicly. But it's amazing. There's one picture that where I stopped on. I was going through the pictures while you were talking, and it's because we actually watched the movie Butter a couple weeks ago, and you have a picture of a guy, and there's a bunch of kids on top of him. He's
Yeah.
got a a hat. That folks, that picture. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's all Butter, isn't it?
Yes, that's correct. That's a huge butter sculpture of Big Tex, the mascot for the Texas State Fair, with some kids on him. So it's kind of this little kind of cowboy, with his, kind of comforting these kids or just kind of hanging out with them or whatever. And yeah, it's all made of butter. I forget how many 100 pounds it is of butter. It's pretty crazy.
That is crazy. And the funny thing is that thing didn't burn down. Although big text, I don't think we
Last
talked
year.
about that at the beginning, but last year's big text
Yeah,
actually.
the very end of the state fair last year, right before Halloween, Big Tech's uh, actually caught on fire. Um, so this year so far he hasn't. I guess the state fair ended yesterday, so it looks like we made it. It's been 1 year since we've had a Big Tech's burn down, so we'll go for two next year, I guess.
There's one other picture here. It looks like a person. You're looking through a person's sunglasses,
So
taking a
I think
picture.
that's looking into my wife's sunglasses, taking a picture while we were waiting, and so you can kind of see me in the reflection there.
Okay. Yes, yeah, you see it in the reflection. That's pretty cool. I like that one. There's a
Yeah.
lot of cool stuff you can do with Google Glass. Not just there's a next one's a video, so we won't play the video, but lots of cool stuff there that you can just sit there and play with glass and go from there. But those are the pictures. If you wanna see more on that, go over to Luke's page over at Luke Wallace over on Google Plus, and you can check that out from there. Let's move on because we've got a lot of stuff. First of all, I'm actually going to be speaking next Wednesday, the 29th, in Platteville, Wisconsin. I got invited to talk about Google Glass, and I will be spending about an hour with a couple college classes, and I'm putting my presentation together. So I'm going to be influencing the class of 20, was it 2016 or something like that? Or no, 20, no, is it 2016? Yeah, something like that. So watch out, people, because I'm an influencer now. Ha. But you can find everything over on thisweekingoogleglass.com or twig.tv, where you can get all the information. Last week we talked with Kathy Brown talking about Google Glass and healthcare, which was a really awesome, awesome conversation. We're going to be actually talking with Sarah Hill next week on the 28th. Now she's with Veterans United. She's big on Google Plus. I've met her a couple times through Hangouts in real life because when I went to South by Southwest, she was there at South by Southwest, and she's got a lot of great stuff on how she's bringing veterans to the memorials using items like technology like Google Glass, and it's going to be a great conversation. I can't wait for that to happen. That's going to happen next week. But we got some news to get through because we didn't talk about news last week. So let's talk about some news. And this is the first thing that I was reading this and I read it a second time because I'm always interested in e-commerce and well, actually commerce in all aspects, whether it being e-commerce or just mom and pop shop type commerce. And of course I remember when we started talking about smartphones and iPads getting into POS systems, that's point of sale systems, and it was amazing how that then adopted, and a lot of people started. Next thing you know, they got rid of these big cash registers for iPads, and they run POS systems from it. Now, not only are they talking about a POS system that runs through Google Glass, but they're also talking about e-payment systems through Google Glass. So you as a customer could actually pay through your Google Glass, and that's what this article is about. It's over on IB Times, and it's about a company called Intuit and how they are putting their payment app for smart glass. And I'm just really impressed with how they're doing it. I don't, as a customer, I don't know if I'm ready to use Google Glass to make a payment, but if I, as a person that's running a cash register, like a salesperson or something like that, I think that it would be perfect for them. Well, what are your thoughts on this, Luke?
Yeah, I think it's really great. I mean, we've seen, we talk about payments and like Google already has Google Wallet. So, I think that they're going to be thinking about this. How does it integrate with Glass? How does Google Wallet integrate? Um, I think, you know, easing up, easing the ability to make a payment, making it as easy as possible, as quick as possible. It's always the goal, right?
Yeah.
We all remember those, kind of commercials of people just walking into a store, picking up what you want, and just kind of leaving and have it automatically charge and do all that. I think it's getting closer to that, and maybe this is something that's along those lines where instead of having to get out a card, you just have the thing that's already on there of like, oh, is this how much you want to pay? And you tap a few times to kind of confirm it so that people can't just be holding up QR codes, which is what the article here talks about
Yeah.
as far as Intuit generating these QR codes that then the Glass app can read and pull the information out of, and basically authorize the payment. You don't want people just holding up a QR code while you're walking around the store and having it, give them money,
Well,
basically making a payment to them.
yeah, definitely. And on the other hand, you don't want to have something as flimsy as that, because
Yeah.
if you trick somebody to hit the wrong button on their Google Glass, and you put up a QR code, did you just send them a bill for $1,000 that they just paid, or something
Mm-hmm.
like that? So yeah, there's a lot of work that needs to be done to this. It's a great first step when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to payment, but once again, I'm not. I've never been a fan of Snap payments.
Mm-hmm.
The NCR stuff, I'm a little bit more in tune with, but yeah, if somebody flashes a QR code, that's the last thing I want to do
Yeah.
is have that pop up. Although it wouldn't affect my end if somebody else snapped the QR code, because they would end up having to pay for what I was just charged, wouldn't it?
Yeah, yeah. So it's like you really want to make sure that I don't know if two-factor authentication is it probably isn't the right term, but you really need this kind of, back and forth between both sides really have to confirm that yes, I'm asking for money, and then you have to confirm yes, I want to pay that. You don't want it to be so automatic, where you just kind of bump into something and all of a sudden you've paid a bunch of money. Like there has to be some sort of authentication or agreement on your part,
Yeah.
that kind of signature aspect of it of saying, yes, I agree to this transaction.
Yeah, definitely. So, there is also an app out there already. It's called GlassPay, and with GlassPay, it's about bitcoins.
Mhm.
So it's currency for bitcoins. Yeah, it's not. I haven't really tested. I don't know if you've played with it at all, Luke.
No, I
Um,
don't have any Bitcoin.
yeah, I don't
So,
get in the Bitcoin arena. I think it's just something for the I call them the Hasselhoff twins, but Winklevoss
yeah.
twins to just make some money off of it. I really don't want the Hasselhoff twins to make any money off of anybody. So so they have a Bitcoin thing, and now they have this
Yeah.
glass pay. They're the first to market. That's the whole idea. Is first to market. We got to be the first to market, and it doesn't care if our idea is the best thing in the world, or it's a lemon, it's an Edsel.
Yeah.
It's the first to market, and so Intuit has brought the first to market, and I'm really hoping that they're going to stop and they're going to say, okay, now we're first to market. We're done. Let's get this figured out and actually sit down and make something that's actually more secure and a lot easier to use, because I would not make a payment at all after watching this system, not through my glass.
No, they did say that it wasn't, they didn't want to release it till basically that GDK came out and they were really able to make a, official app for Glass. So it's, there's still time for them to put some work into it. So I think it'd be something I'd be willing to try, um, depending on how hard it was to set up.
Yeah.
But I'd be willing to try it out once it's actually out there. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. And yeah, maybe they'll do some more. They may have simplified it a little bit for their demo so that you know, they don't have to show every single little step. But
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
even if you walk in the store and they say, let's set up your Intuit into your glass, and then you go behind a counter where it's just you and the tablet, and then you set up your My Glass application for that store, and then you
mhm,
got it all set up. So when you walk out, that's all cleared. Then you do your shopping, you come back, and they say, "How are you going to pay for it?" And I'll say glass, and then I'll hit a tap, and I'll say, "Okay, glass, make payment at Barnes and Noble." And then up on their cash register is a 6-digit PIN number. Up on my glass is a 6-digit PIN number. I can verify those two PIN numbers. We both tap at the same time. That's okay. That makes the payment. I think that would be a more secure way to do it, because then you're setting up, and you could actually set up the stores beforehand. So I could be sitting here at home, and I could set up Barnes and Noble. I could set up Home Depot or whatever, and then go out to those stores, and then I feel more comfortable making a payment through Glass, because one, we're not doing any type of connection transaction at the store. Two, when we do a transaction, there's a 6-digit number that goes back and forth, and we can get information from there. So I
Hmm.
think that would be the best way to do it.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of different options, but
Oh yeah.
yeah, security is going to be a big part of this. People aren't going to want it because right now, like we've talked about before, I think how there's not really any security on glass itself. Like if you just got somebody's glass, there's no lock screen, there's nothing to really prevent them from being able to use it. So now if all of a sudden it's, like stealing your wallet, where basically you just take it and start paying for things, that it becomes an issue.
Yeah, that's true. And how do you put a lock? How do you put a lock thing on? I mean, do you do down, down, up, up, left, left, right way? Half the time when
Yeah.
I swipe
Well,
down on my Google Glass, this being now for anybody that's been following, this is the fifth pair of Google Glass just came last week, and even now, all 5 pairs, I've always had a problem doing this and actually
hmm,
swiping down. It would take like 2 or 3 tries before it finally realized that it was swiping down instead of left or right.
hmm.
So I don't know. It's interesting. I like the idea. Once again, I think Intuit just wanted to be first to market on this whole idea. So they said, okay, easiest thing to do, QR code. Let's get it done. And
Yeah.
poof, they have the first one. They can register the first patent when it comes to Google Glass cash register technology, and then move from there. So pretty interesting. Anything else you want to add to that at all?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay, cool, cool. Speaking of which, I did mention this is my fifth pair of Google Glass. Yes, it did show up last week, and once again, I am not 100% happy with the customer support. And a lot of people, I get these emails now and then. These go, "What? Well, why are you complaining about a beta version of Google Glass because it's a beta version?" And it's like, no, I'm not complaining about the fact that my Google Glass broke. I'm complaining about the customer service, and the reason why I complain about the customer service is this: when I first got the invite, I went up and I looked at the schedule and I couldn't find anything. So I called Glass Support and I said, "Hey, I need to find a date because there was a date that could would have worked perfectly for me to go out to New York and get a pair of Google Glass and come back." And they basically said, "No, no, we don't have any times." And I go, "Well, why is that? All I need to do is come in, pick it up, and go. You could even send me the pair of Google Glass. I know what I'm doing. Just do a Google Hangout with me and go through all the steps." And then they go, "No, no, you need to come out here because we've got the most fabulous customer support experience that anybody ever wants to see." That's what they said to me. And so I said, "Okay, I'm going to trust you on this and get the best customer service experience that I've ever gotten. Blown my socks off type of customer experience." And so I paid for a ticket to go out to LA. I paid for cab rides to go over to Google Glass. I paid, this isn't cheap going from Madison, Wisconsin to LA to get a date that worked in my schedule. And I did a 30-hour turnaround trip. I literally spent about $700 simply just to go get my pair of Google Glass for this customer service experience. So when I get these little things that don't follow on the customer service that doesn't blow my socks off, yeah, I'm going to complain about it. It's like when I did my fitting, it was no different. Anybody that's gotten a pair of glasses will agree that fitting was exactly just like you went to get a pair of glasses. They fit you for a pair of glasses. That's it. There was nothing special about it. And basically, I was shuttled in, I got my fitting, and then I was pushed out. It was like, well, I thought I could stay on Google Campus and take pictures of Google stuff, like fun toys that you guys play with or something like that. Because that's what everybody kept saying is, oh, we got boat rides and we got this and that. And I went to LA and I got nothing. And now my Google Glass gets broken, and I've got these extra weird customer support things that happen that are not they're not above and beyond. And the case in point on this is I sent last week when this first broke, I called them up and I said, "I have an RMA box from the last pair with a tag in there that I could just slap it right on and send it off to you." And they go, "No, we're going to send you another box." And it's like, "Well, why is that?" And they go, "Because the RMA number they're different, and of course we don't want to mess around with anything like that." And it's like, but if you do that, I add 3 to 5 days in the shipping process. because it takes 3 to 5 days for that box to show up to me, another 3 to 5 days for this pair of glass to go to San Francisco, and then another 2 day difference for them to receive it, put it in the system, get another pair, and send it back out, and then another 3 to 5 days to go back. And I had an opportunity to take out 1/3 of that time process, and they were saying no. And finally, I just got to the point where I was like, no, I'm going to send it this way, and you're going to accept it. And finally, they turned around. They said, okay, well, we're going to do it this way. And it's like, you just got to do that for support. And I just don't get it. But here's the kicker. I got, and I know I'm going a little bit long on this, so I apologize. I got this pair of Google Glass. And it showed up last Monday at Google headquarters. I then waited 48 hours before I finally sent them an email asking them, hey, I noticed that 2 days ago my Google Glass showed up there. What's going on? Where's my return tracking code? What's going on here? They said, oh, we'll get your tracking code. We'll get your tracking code. And then on Thursday, I got my pair. I think it was Thursday. I got my pair of Google Glass. UPS just called. It was like 9 o'clock in the morning. Knock on the door, and I'm like in the shower at the time, so I'm trying to put on clothes and everything like that. Get to the door, and they say, "Well, here's your Google Glass," and I'm going, "Hey, that's great. That's great." The next day, it's not like I got a, "Hey, we noticed you got your Google Glass. How's it working for you?" The next day, I got the tracking number from Google. So if I go off the handle on customer support, I go off the handle on customer support because I paid a lot for some customer experience that is not happening, period. And it's a little bit frustrating, but I do have something here, and this is the box.
This is very cool.
This is very cool. This box did not come from California. It came from Louisville, Kentucky. Now, what does that mean? That might mean that they have a fulfillment center. It definitely means they have a fulfillment center in Louisville, Kentucky, which means that they are planning for the next step and that's basically mass production and moving information. So, like for instance, when you get your Netflix DVDs, I remember back in 2002, you'd wait 3 to 5 days for a Netflix DVD because it'd have to ship all the way out to New Jersey and back. But then all of a sudden, we got a fulfillment center in Minnesota, and everything was like a day later, 2 days later, you get your next disc. This is actually a good thing for their customer support, and with Louisville, Kentucky, that is literally a couple days away, less in a shipping travel situation. So I'm really excited about that. You and Luke, it sounds like you're excited when I first talked about Louisville, Kentucky here.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it just means that something's going on as far as, you know, another fulfillment center. That means now they're putting glass in more places so they can get it out places like maybe they're going to be doing some sort of public rollout, or maybe they're just testing out other fulfillment centers and just to help people, like you that are maybe farther away. It takes longer to get there from California, so they're putting another fulfillment center on the other side of the U.S. so that they can, replace glass on that side faster,
Mm-hmm.
or yeah, maybe some larger rollout. It's really interesting though that it yeah, didn't come from a place that you'd expect it to come from.
Yeah, it makes me wonder if they're actually going to have their next store pop up in Louisville, Kentucky. Even if they're still rolling out the developer models, all of a sudden it'll be like, hey, hey, we've got San Francisco, New York, L.A. Now we've got Louisville, Kentucky. You can go get your pair of Google Glass.
Yeah, maybe,
And
maybe.
it's kind of I don't know how close is that to was it Durham, North Carolina, where they had their first Google Glass public viewing?
It's closer than Dallas is to, to Durham. Yeah,
That
I don't
is
know.
that
I'm
is
not
true.
sure what the distance is there.
Well, Louisville, Kentucky, actually, it's 3 states away, from Wisconsin here. So, and literally, it's about a 10 hour, 8 to 10 hour drive.
Yeah,
So not too bad. So I'm really hoping that's the next spot. If they had one in Madison, Wisconsin, I'd be perfect with that. I'd be like, oh yeah, let's go down to Google.
yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
So anyway, I spent a little bit too much time, but just some interesting things. First of all, I'm putting them to task with their customer support simply because I was told that I was supposed to have this spectacular customer support experience. I will break these glasses until the end of time if that is what makes them work better in the end. But if you say it's supposed to be this great customer support experience and I get nothing, I'm going to put you to task. Simple as
Yeah.
that. All right, let's go on. Mashable, we're going to head over to Mashable.com. They've been talking for this week about Google Gestures and pretty interesting stuff. Instead of swiping or talking, you actually put your hands in front of the Google Glass and say things like "You complete me," I love you," like a Doctor Evil type. Anyway, so yeah, now they've got gestures that they're working. They've got a patent for gestures.
Yes.
It
Yes. There's
doesn't
a
mean anything more than that. Could this also mean something for an Android device or anything like that, Luke?
It seems like um, that it's really meant for a wearable computing device. I believe the patent refers to that by name. So, um, Android devices, I mean, Glass is an Android device. So in that sense, yes, but it's really meant what they were patenting for is some sort of wearable computing. I think that, there's already gestures on some Android devices, like the Samsung ones, I believe, have some of the, kind of you can wave your hand over it to maybe page forward or answer a call or things like that. So maybe how they got this patent was they said it's a wearable computing device, including head-mounted display type devices like glass. So
Yeah.
there's probably a distinction there that they had to use for the patent.
Yeah, and the patent, the name of the patent is transmit the generated images to one or more applications in a network server communicatively connected with the HMD. So whatever that means.
Yeah.
That
So
could mean they have a patent for Oscar the Grouch on how he gets out of his garbage can. I don't know.
yeah, sending images. Yeah. So sending the images over the internet.
Yeah.
So it's like okay, but it has to do with these heart gesture. Or like that's the example they give. You kind of make the little heart with your hands.
Yeah.
Gesture and um, maybe that puts it on Facebook or maybe that likes it or something.
Well,
Who knows what it does,
I
but
don't know. I could kind of see it if, let's say, I'm looking at a picture in my Google Glass. I would do this over, and I have to do it kind of over the lens or something like that, and that would actually move the pictures back and instead of doing this and this,
mm,
which some people there have been a couple people that have had a problem doing it this way because they don't. They got used to the mouse and the mouse being like this, and you did this. Got used to a touchpad once again being flat like this. Now you're taking that flatness and going like this on the side
yeah,
and it's a whole new experience. It's kind of like if they were to take a steering wheel in a car and actually reverse. So if you turn left, you're actually turning right. Like with a plane, if you pull the stick back, you're going up, or you're going down, and you pull the stick forward, you're going up, and or
yeah,
going faster, whatever it is. So a lot of people have a hard time doing that. So if by doing it this way, they get a little bit more bearings on what they're doing
yeah,
and get things more done. Plus, if augmented reality happens, I'm looking at this camera and it's saying this camera you can buy it now over at Amazon.com. I can do this, and poof, all of a sudden I've got it in my shopping cart.
yeah,
So lots of
yeah.
different
No, it's an interesting idea. I don't know if it's something that's you know real feasible with the current version that we've got, just because of how much power basically taking video uses, and so making these gestures and having the camera on, watching what you're doing,
hmm
would be quite the battery drain. So yeah, I think you might be able to do it with the current version of Glass if you really limited it to certain points in time. Like if you do it, when you're looking at a timeline card, of a certain type, we'll have the camera on, and if you make a little gesture within a few seconds or whatever, then we'll recognize it. But to just have that camera going constantly, I don't think people need to be worried about that. Kind of like um, of all those people I met at the Texas State Fair, I don't think any of them thought, yeah, I don't. None of them said, "Oh, hey, so I guess it's recording all the time," or no one really expected that. But I know people online have said that kind of thing, and people have made those comments that like, oh, well, it's just recording all the time now, and so,
Yeah.
uh, but it's not. So, and just it's mostly a battery issue. So,
Yeah.
uh,
But if they overcome the battery issue, or let's say somebody decides to take out this battery, because the battery is
mhm.
like right here.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
take the
it's easy to
battery
get.
and they put a cord, and all of a sudden they put it on a backpack. The battery, they have a backpack battery that has a little cord running to to their Google Glass that powers it 24/7. Yeah, I could see, and some way to keep this cool. Then
Yeah,
yeah, we could definitely have it. But that would be, you would notice if somebody was doing something like
yeah,
that. So,
yeah,
and a lot of people, the first thing that's the first thing that they ask is, how do I know that it's on? I just say, look here. If you see a
yeah.
light,
Watch me use it for a second, and
yeah,
then everybody's like, oh,
yeah,
yeah,
and
that's pretty easy to tell if it's on or not.
yeah.
So, that's
See,
the thing. It's like, but like we were saying, most people haven't even seen them in real life. So
yeah,
it's understandable if people are kind of, they might think something that isn't true because they've never actually seen one. So, that's, I know what you're doing and what I'm doing is, by being out there, we're giving people that opportunity to see them for the first time and see how it really looks to, you know, wear them, see someone who's wearing them, see
yep,
someone taking pictures who's wearing them, and people realize that, yeah, when I'm walking around taking pictures, it's not super stealthy because, my hand's coming up here and I'm kind of holding still and clicking the button. And,
mm-hmm,
it's like you can tell I'm doing something with them. Like if I was doing that at you, you'd kind of get the idea. It wouldn't be that stealthy for me to be sitting there videoing you, pointing my head real still and
yeah.
all that. So,
Or the most important, even with gestures involved, if you see somebody doing this, they are either doing something with their Google Glass, or they're having a seizure. You should probably call a doctor.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So, ask if they're okay if they're doing this the
yeah,
whole
yeah.
time. But if they're not doing that, then they're just using Google Glass. And if they're using Glass, you don't want them to use Google Glass. Stay away from it. Simple as that.
Yeah, yeah.
So, that's over on Mashable.com. All right, last article of the day, and we'll get you on your way. It's over at QZ, Quartz, QZ.com. And ladies and gentlemen, the next version of Google Glass is already getting ready to go. And it was an article that Luke pointed out here. Mary Lou Jespin, that's in the picture here. That's her picture, right? I think it is. Or is it somebody else?
Uh, I'm not sure if that's
Okay.
her or not, or if that's just a stock photo they're using.
All right. Well, Mary Lou Jespin is part of the Glass, uh, and I guess she worked with one laptop per child. She's on Google's Google X project, and basically it kind of leaked out. Oh yeah, we've got the next model already underway, in a way. However you wanted to read. Now tell them a little bit more about that, Luke. You read this a little bit better than I did.
So basically, she was just talking about how they're really busy working on, other projects and other things like Glass and, kind of the next version and stuff. And yeah, what we were talking about kind of before the show was how that's not really that big of a shock to anybody who follows technology because, whenever a new phone comes out, even the iPhone, the iPhone 5S just came out. Well, I know that at Apple they are working on the iPhone 6. They're at least throwing out different ideas, trying faster chips,
Yep.
kind of working out what is it that they're going to improve on the next one. Are they going to add another, sensor somewhere? Are they going to add in NFC? They're probably having all these debates, and they're already working on the next one because it's only a year until they need to release the next one.
Yeah.
And that's how it is with all technology. And so now that Glass has gotten to a point where, you know, they've made these up, they've made up, 10,000 of them, let's say, plus another couple thousand for, Jeff as he breaks them, just to deal with him and the other, there's lots of other people that have had problems with them. And so, they've made up, 10, 15,000, 20,000, who knows, for all the people at Google and stuff. But they're also working on the next one. So
Yeah.
there's no, obviously they would be working on whatever the next version is. When they announced Glass or when they started releasing them back in June and July, they announced at that point they were going to start working with Warby Parker, which is apparently a big eyeglass frame manufacturer, to really get them more, you know, cool looking, basically make them much more stylish.
Well, they are
And
they're already working with them. They're one of the two, if I remember correctly, they're one of the two that actually made the shades for
oh yeah,
glass.
that may have helped design all those. But so it's like we know that they're working on making smaller, faster, more stylish versions of glass, and so it's not really a shock to anybody, or it's not a shock to anybody who's in technology that realizes, yeah, you have to do that stuff in advance. You can't wait and do it in 6 months. It takes a year or two or three to come up with these things and really release a product. So the next Galaxy S phone is already in development,
Yep.
and they're probably already they already have roadmaps for what will come in versions later. Will they, how much will they increase the camera resolution? How much will they do that? So it's not really a shock to anybody that, or it shouldn't be a shock that they are working on the next version of Glass. But this was really just official confirmation that Glass wasn't going to be, just a one-off project
Yeah.
that, they'll put it out there and maybe we'll revisit it in a few years if people like it, kind of thing. It's
Yeah.
something that they seem to really be focused on working on.
Well, yeah, and it's not also, yeah, I guess a lot of people could be thinking, well, it could become vaporware
Yeah,
because it's not
no.
going the way that they do. I was wrong. I checked it really quick. I looked here. It's Zeal Optics and Maui Jim made the
Hmm.
shades for Google Glass. So, but
Okay. Yeah.
those, if you're interested, if you're curious, but
Yeah.
so yeah, I totally agree. Any company, your TV, your smartphone, like you said, the glass, a watch, camera, everything has got two versions ahead of it. I think it was like what 2008 when Steve Jobs had the first iPad put together,
Hmm.
and it was basically an iPhone that was 10 inches, and they worked from there. And so that's we didn't see it until 2000. We didn't see an iPad until 2010, and
Yeah.
during that time we had, was it two rollouts with two rumor mills talking about a possible tablet coming out. So and of course that's going to happen with glass. We've got the newer, bigger, better. They'll rumors like, oh, they'll have the optics over on the left side rather than the right side, so people with vision impairments on the right eye can actually be part of that. Or they're making a detachable pair, so if you've got a prescription pair of glasses that you'll be able to attach that. Or and of course that's the rumor mill. They'll always come out and you'll have the people that are working at Google, and I always find this funny. Some Apple employees get fed wrong information. So when it does get leaked out, they kind of know where that information came from. I don't know if Google does the same thing, but it'd
Yeah.
be interesting to see if that's the case, and see who's around when the dust clears on something like that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. For every idea that, you or I have, I'm sure the people at Google, somebody there has probably had the same idea and they've probably tried all that. There's
yeah.
probably a prototype sitting somewhere of a
Hmm.
detachable glass. There's probably a left eye version, that they've made up somewhere, you know, for either testing it out or working on a releasable product. So it's like every idea gets tested and tried to some level just to see is it worth pursuing any further. And so, you know,
Yeah.
if if you
Well,
had an idea for glass, they probably have done it in Google. It's just how far did that idea go?
yeah.
Was it just a mock-up or did it actually have real, hardware inside of it, or
Yep.
was the shell have all the different form factors and stuff? So
A perfect example was in July, there was rumor, or there was something saying that Apple was testing a 5-inch screen and a 5.7-inch screen and a 4.7-inch screen for the iPhone, and everybody was thinking, oh yeah, one of these new iPhones, because they knew at that point there was going to split in two. That one of these iPhones was actually going to be a 4.7 screen. They got all excited about it, and it didn't happen.
yeah,
But it doesn't mean that it's not going to happen the next time around. It just means that right now they've got a prototype out there of a 5.7-inch screen. There was even, and now I'm thinking about it, there was an eBay item that was prototyped from Apple, like a Lisa or something like that,
mm,
and they were trying to sell it, and it was a prototype that should have never left Apple, and it did, and it was on eBay, and that was like in June or something like that. Do you remember? Did you
yeah.
remember hearing that or?
Yeah, I remember I've seen like, and there was like a prototype iPad or something that I remember.
That's right. It was an
I
iPad.
don't know
Yeah.
if it was for sale or not, but occasionally those prototypes come out, or sometimes they'll go back and Microsoft will show Xbox controllers, like original prototypes from 10 years ago, because now it doesn't matter, like
Yeah.
they're not losing anything if they show people what those prototypes were, um, you know, far enough in the future, far enough, later, but um, yeah, so it's like all those ideas. Like, yes, there is probably a 6-inch iPhone somewhere that
Hmm.
somebody, was tasked with put it together because we need to at least try it and see how much we like it. And then a few people try it and they'll say, this is horrible. This doesn't feel like the iPhone. This feels like, a
Yep.
note, or this feels like, something else. This doesn't feel right. So we're not going to do it. But that prototype still exists unless they, you know, are dead set on destroying it. So same
Yeah.
thing I'm sure is happening with glass. There's prototypes of all sorts of things probably floating around these X labs at Google, and it'll who knows if we'll ever see them. We'll ever know what could have been. But the best ideas are that are the most popular will probably rise to the top, and that's probably what you'll end up seeing.
Exactly. So, Luke, your job, if you choose to accept it, is to infiltrate Google and find
Mhm.
these prototypes.
I can work on that.
Okay. This message will self-destruct in 5 seconds. Wait, no, 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 no self-destruction. So, anyway, that if you want to read more on that, we'll have all the links over at twig.tv or thisweekingoogleglass.com. You can check it out there. Of course, you'll also be able to check out where Luke is, where I am, and where my sanity is, because I don't think it's in the same state that I'm in. And even our Japanese dubs of this whole show, all over on twig.tv. You can get it all there, nice wrapped in a bow and everything like that. So, Luke, tell everybody where they can find you.
So the one of the easiest places is Luke Luca on Twitter. Give me a shout out there. That's LukeLuca. Or Luke at twig.tv. That's TWIGG. TW, the letter I double G, two letters, .tv.
This episode brought to you by the letters T, W, I, G, and G. And of course, you can find me at geekazine.com. Think magazine, put it in geek, poof, you got Geekazine. Geekazine is my Twitter handle. And of course, Jeff at twig.tv with the two G's. Otherwise, you've got This Week in Google, completely different show, which we don't want to compete with at all because, that would be wrong. So, anyway, my name is Jeffrey Powers, of course, with Luke Wallace. Thank you very much. Thank you, Luke, for being part of the show. As of course, next week, we've got Sarah Hill with Veterans United, and they're going to be she's going to be talking about how she's using glass to get people closer to other veterans and see the things that they need to see, including the memorials and stuff like that. Lots of cool stuff. I've talked with her several times on different situations. I'm really happy to have her on the show. We're going to have her next week. And then, of course, that Tuesday, I will be speaking in UW Platteville, and I'll have a video of me doing that. It's either going to be the best thing in the world or it's going to be the biggest train wreck in the world. So, whatever happens, it'll be up on YouTube. Anyway, my name is Jeffrey Powers. Thanks a lot for watching. We will be back next week with another episode of This Week in Google Glass. You guys see it through glass, and we'll see you next week. Take care.